Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today. I'm excited to cast it as it's EvilZoe taking on Zoe. So, a bit of a Spider-Man pointing fingers meme. We have got one bot author's project going up against each other, and we're gonna compare and contrast and ultimately see which one's better. EvilZoe is the better one it's the higher ranked one on the ladder, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will win head to head. So we'll see where these two have their differences and whether we can sort of spot traits of the bot author. I think will be interesting. And then yeah, look at that. They're just waiting to build their spawning pool. And so, yeah, well, it's kind of like playing itself, but anyway. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, then leave a comment down below that says more bots if you want to see more of these bot games. I certainly enjoy casting them because we get shenanigans like Zoe versus EvilZoe. And then, yeah, I think that's pretty much the whole spiel. But now we've got spawning pools on the way. Timings are identical, so it's interesting to see because EvilZoe is a bot that it's a bot that's more aggressive generally, I think. But it did say that it was going for macros EVZ, so that's important to know. And yeah, we'll see as we've got. Yeah, just straight up identical builds between these two. It is the most mirrored matchup ever. And then at some point though, there's going to be deviation because there's a bit of randomness in Starcraft 2, so that'll change the game. And yeah, I do wonder if EvilZoe's macro mode is just is basically played out like regular Zoe. Okay, Ling's moving out, scouting each other out. Looks like we've got a third base going up for both of these bots and no variation yet. And look at that, even Overlord's getting attacked on the other side of the map at the same time. The Ling's not choosing violence, run right by each other. Scouting out, getting all the information and whatnot. And then we've got Ling speed on the way. We'll see. Because as a bot author, you got to imagine that you have some degree of randomness in your programming, at least when it comes to choosing your initial build. But beyond that, everything may be pretty linear. So we'll see if there is variation or if these bots are going to do the exact same thing. And that's exactly what they're doing. So far, yeah, they're pretty much in the exact same position. Queen's injecting. Ling's running on out. No units have died other than the Overlord. And this is actually so interesting to me because they're playing literally identical, yet some bot has to win. So what's it gonna be like? What's it gonna be? It's gotta just be like come down to just the random attack intervals, I suppose, of the units in StarCraft 2. That will potentially decide the game. We've got Ling speed done for both bots. I guess there is a bit of randomness in the scouting and the pathing out right now. Regardless, we've got third bases done for both of these bots. And yeah, Ling's just scouting out. Okay. Both of these bots going into macro. Burrow on the way for both of them. Roachworm done for both of them. And then, yeah, just probably going to be like a regular old ZVZ in regards to the Roach versus Roachness going on. There has been one Zergling has died for Zoe. So Zoe is officially the bot that's worse off this game. As that will... It's like the butterfly effect. It could have drastic consequences. Alter history, losing one Zergling. And now we see Queens working away on these rocks, spreading creep tumors all over the place. Lots of queens. That's not something that every bot does, but Zoe and EvilZoe electing to make lots and lots of queens. And yeah, not too much going on so far. Looks like a couple of extra gases for Zoe. Maybe a little bit earlier than those of EvilZoe, so we are starting to see some slight deviation in these builds. And I do wonder what brings that on. And there we go, EvilZoe getting up its own gas. So, like, there's been some slight variation here. And oh, okay, here's the big change. We have got missile attack versus melee attack. Zoe is a bot that tends to go for, or EvilZoe is a bot that I've seen do lots of Ling Floods and stuff, so maybe that is one of the variations the bot author has put in there, that it's a primarily, or that it plays with a lot of Lings, whereas Zoe just more macro standard playing with roaches. And I honestly do prefer the, just going for the +1 missile instead of the +1 melee. I don't think Lings are going to get too much done. That being said, EvilZoe could potentially get Ling run-bys and whatnot. We've got the 4th bases, the gold bases going up for both of these spots. And as a reaction, look at that. Just slight delay there. Underground unit's fun. And so Spore Crawler is getting built at the natural for both of these bots. Probably going to see some Overseers on the way. Or is there not already out? There is already Overseers out. And then Lurkers are the tech of choice for Zoe. Whereas EvilZoe is just building up potentially for a big attack with lots of Lings and Roaches. A timing potentially. Or some Ling run-bys could be a possibility. As I say that though, both bots making lots of those Lings. Supplies are still very even. Upgrades though will definitely benefit Zoe more, I think, just because of that choice. Of course, Zoe's Lings won't be as good, but I feel like that that shouldn't be too big of a deal. We'll see. EvilZoe planning a Zergling attack at the natural. However, seeing as how Zoe has just got all its units back at home, I'm not too worried about Zoe's ability to clean this up. The Lings trying to make it into the natural. They do find 1 drone, so good targeting there. They're going to actually get to the natural, start targeting down more drones. However, the game of whack-a-mole commences as those drones just start burrowing, and we've got a Ling counterattack by Zoe now, but once again, the drones, they just burrow and they're fine. Maybe a few have perished. 2 drones for Zoe died. So far, none for EvilZoe. And the harassment shall be moot for the most part. We see more and more harassment going down for these bots. That is one of the things I do like about Zoe and EvilZoe, or I guess just EvilZoe, is that it prints when it's going for a Ling run-by, whereas Zoe just does it. It seems a Queen vulnerable, gonna get picked off here. A few Roaches are joining this attack towards the 5th or 6th base of EvilZoe, and we've got both armies out on the map now, so observation gets cranked up to hard mode, as trying to keep track of what these bots are doing is always a struggle, just as there's so much going on the map. We've got just, yeah, all these units controlled individually, so it's very tough to keep track of as Ling run-bys are going off again and again. We've seen a few drones die on each side now, but nothing too significant. We got Lurkers defensively for Zoe to defend against the more mobile composition of EvilZoe, but usually Lurkers are the preferred composition as Zerg players, so I think that that's quite alright for Zoe. Another Ling run-by being chased down, more Lings running into the main base, just constant Ling run-bys. We'll see how many Lings have died by the end of this game. The tech does seem to be more advanced, though, for Zoe, as it's getting out infestors. There is Neural Parasite on the way for EvilZoe, but there's already infestors out for regular Zoe. Lurkers burrowing, attacking on into this 5th base. They're going to be very hard to deal with without proper detection, so we're going to have to see EvilZoe bring an Overseer over here. There is not an Overseer. There's one coming in. And so these Lurkers could potentially be cleaned up, but not until this base has died, and that base has died, so that was a nice attack there for Zoe. That being said, EvilZoe has expanded more. It's taken this extra base, whereas Zoe hasn't secured up another location yet. We've got Lings running all over the place still, again and again. both bots getting adrenal glands. We're now seeing +1 melee on the way for regular Zoe. This is getting hard to keep track of. Maybe I should just call him Easy and then Zoe, but we shall see, as now Bao's getting tossed down all over the place. Another attack moving in towards this base. However, there is a response for EvilZoe. Ling still running all over the place. Lots of harassment going down, but the drone burrow is just so darn strong. It almost makes you wonder if EvilZoe should bring an overseer with this harassment, but that's pretty costly too. We see seismic spines are now on the way for the bot that's building the lurkers. That will really help them, as seismic spines increases lurker range by 2, which in Starcraft 2 is a huge amount. We have got Bao going down, hitting that lurker multiple times, but they're pretty tanky, so it's able to get on out of there. And so far, resources lost-wise, EvilZoe is ahead slightly, and we'll see if it's able to push that. Lurkers are repositioning to deal with this attack. Now that that seismic spines is done, the lurkers will be much more effective. Lurkers moving forward, burrowing, forcing EvilZoe back, but of course that means with the lurkers not really being direct attacking units, it means that there's less of a buffer for Zoe, so it doesn't seem to do too well in that trade, but the lurkers are still doing well for themselves. Baos are being tossed down. We see more Ling harassment going down at the 5th base. How effective this is being is hard to gauge. We see that going down on both sides of the map, however. Still notable, though, that EvilZoe has taken the extra base, whereas regular Zoe has not. We're seeing an attempt to expand there, and the drone is actually going to kill the Ling, so that's a cool feature there, but then it stops attacking, and I think that burrowed Ling will get killed off. So the potential is there to expand. We'll see how long it takes for Zoe to try and expand there again. Both armies are on the opposing side of the map, so we see Zoe attacking on in. EvilZoe a little bit further ahead, though, hitting this 4th or 5th base. The drone count is ahead for EvilZoe with its higher base count, too. And then, yeah, it looks like we're actually seeing bases go down, so Zoe losing an important base, keeping in mind that it's got one less to lose. It looks like EvilZoe will lose a base of its own, however, but yeah, it's still, I think, in a better economic position. That being said, ultras are now on the way for Zoe. No such ultras for EvilZoe. And these lurkers are still advancing, so that gold base is going to go down, so now these bots are on an even amount of bases. We'll see if EvilZoe can deal with this army. Of course, dealing with all the lurkers was always going to be difficult for the Red Zerg. We see Infestors neural parasiting a lurker there momentarily. We see more of these lurkers moving forward, however, and the lurkers are just so dang hard to deal with. We see a good fungal growth go down for Zoe, but these lurkers are a little bit unsupported, so Zoe is going to get pushed back, but I think the trades are okay. We're also seeing some Lings get in towards this base down here. Critical mining base at this point, and now Zoe has seized the momentum to double expand, cleaning up that burrowed Ling, so it's got better economic prospects. As far as the bank goes down, it is incredibly far behind in the bank, with no minerals to its name, really, whereas EvilZoe has got a really healthy mineral bank. And now EvilZoe is expanding again itself, so the game's gonna stabilize here. We've yet to see a clear winner. Resources lost are still slightly in favor of EvilZoe. We've got 300 plus Lings dead on either side, and we're still waiting to see which one of these bots is the better bot, as Lings harassing all over the place. Still non-stop harassment by yeah, both of them, just running Lings in all over the place. Drone deaths are actually pretty darn close, funnily enough. There's been 21 dead lurkers, though, to 26 ravagers. That's probably where some of the resources lost are kicking in for Zoe. Lurkers are darn expensive. We see seismic spines now being researched for EvilZoe, so its own lurkers are an option. And my gosh, EvilZoe is just kicking it into macro mode with 6 hatcheries being built at a time. Rebuilt, taking even the far forward base. So 4 expansions, 2 macro hatcheries going up. Both bots are maxed out again. And this is really interesting. I was a little bit worried that these games were just gonna be boring, but there is action all over the place with these two bots. We see drones burrowing, so not many kills happening again. I imagine the melee is letting those melee upgrades is letting those lings get a little bit more damage done potentially, and that may have actually been some dead drones there. Yeah, I think that was actually quite a few dead drones for Zoe, so those drones did not burrow in time for whatever reason. Resources lost really going in favor of EvilZoe now, actually. So I'm not sure where Zoe's been losing so much stuff, but it has been. And yeah, let's see here. Lurkers moving forward, burrowing. Ravagers are tossing down corrosive biles pretty effectively on these lurkers. They are burrowing, and now they're going to be able to get some shots off on these Ravagers, killing off a lot of them actually, eating corrosive biles, but seems to be a pretty good trade there for Zoe. More and more of these lurkers are moving forward. There's still some ling harassment going down on both sides of the map, it looks like. However, Zoe is getting a little bit forward, so we'll see if it can kill a base off or not. Get some better trades. Resources lost. It still lags behind 8,000. So if this game goes the distance, that could be a problem. Zoe, though, getting those lurkers on top of that base, kills it off. We see just, oh my gosh, so many Zerglings set up here for EvilZoe. I did not know it made so many, but all of a sudden it's got 100 lings in its composition, which seems suicidal against a lurker-based Zerg. It is a bot versus bot match, though, so you never know. Lings are getting on top of these lurkers. There's no detection for them, though, so they're just getting cut up, diced up, and that is not a good trade there as all those lings go down. We are seeing EvilZoe seemingly transition to a more ling-based composition, but I don't think that's what it needs at this point. It is trying to save this hatchery, but it will fail at doing so. More Ravagers are coming in. We'll see if they get off good corrosive biles. They are going to land some big corrosive biles, kills off 2 of the Ravagers. More corrosive biles are going down, so this location will be cleaned up, but that was a darn good trade for Zoe. It's also attacking down to the bottom here, as, yeah, down to the bottom, killing off lots of drones. Those drones are not burrowing. I'm not sure why that was. Maybe because of the presence of overseers, maybe because they were transitioning between bases, but that was a big move by Zoe. And EvilZoe has taken some damage and is almost behind in the resources lost. We'll see if that's going to be the case or not, but lurker efficiency is just so darn good. We're seeing more ling harassment go off. EvilZoe is all of a sudden running out of a bank, though. That massive mineral bank it had gets burned through pretty quickly when it's just sacrificing Zerglings into lurkers, and now the lurkers are burrowing forward for Zoe again, getting lots of spines off before they get cleaned up. And yeah, the income for EvilZoe has really been impacted here. It's got this gold base mining, but that's almost mined out, so these southern bases and the northern one is important, but the northern one gets cancelled once again. We're seeing another macro hatchery go up for EvilZoe. I'm not sure that it needs that. I mean, it's got 40 larvae already, and it just needs minerals to make stuff. And it's looking like the good guy has won today. It seems we're seeing Infestor go down, or use a neural parasite on one of EvilZoe's lurkers now, as that's actually happening again. Lurkers being neural parasited, something you only see in a bot versus bot game, and that is just phenomenal. However, that does run out, so the lurker's freed up. EvilZoe did transition to its own lurkers, but I think it was a little bit too late here. And yeah, that is just well done by Zoe. Well done to the bot author. Really just should be singing the bot author's praises for making two incredible bots, and 2 bots that are very fun to watch play against each other, evidently. You gotta love the mass ling style by EvilZoe, but it just doesn't work in late game ZVZ, as the lurkers are just too darn good. So yeah, I'm surprised to see it. I was a little worried for Zoe, for the good guy. But, yeah, eventually EvilZoe's transition to the mass lings is where I think things started to go really wrong. And then, of course, just lurkers are the better late game units. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Join the Discord, which is linked down below. And make sure you leave a comment that says more bots if you want to see more of these bot versus bot games. I certainly enjoy casting them. If you do want to support the channel, you can use that join button down below. That is a way to become a YouTube member, similar to a Twitch subscriber. And yeah, that is going to be that. Thanks so much for tuning in.